Hello, it's Monika Davis, and I am here with a new video for you today. So I've been running a monthly scrapbook workshop kit class in my at-home studio. I'm in Georgia. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator in the Milton, Roswell, Alpharetta, Woodstock, Canton area. I'm kind of in the middle of all of those areas. So I have a monthly in-person scrapbook work class that I'm doing with these new scrapbooking workshop kits that Stampin' Up has come out with this year. And as a follow-up to the in-person class, I think I'm going to start doing like a video. So this is my first one. We'll see if it's helpful or not. As I put the kits together, I try to write down tips and things that might not necessarily, I don't want to say obvious, but you might miss it, maybe is the better way to say it, especially if you're not somebody that's going to just read step by step all the words of the directions. I especially found that true with this particular one. As I was going through this kit, I found that it was important to read some of the instructions, but not everybody likes to do that. A lot of people just like to eyeball it, and of course you can do that and just put this together the way it suits you. I also wanted to take a minute to go through the process of what I do to set myself up for working on these kits. So each one of these kits has 3 2-page layouts, and the class the one that we just did for the month of June was this one called Memories in Bloom. And so I kind of want to show you, this is a whole kit. It comes in a bag. You get full color instructions in here, and then you get all of, this is your instruction sheet, and then you've got a whole bunch of pieces. You've got paper, you have double-sided paper, so it varies from kit to kit what you're going to get. So this one has, it looks like 5 double-sided pieces. You have some single-sided pieces, which are these. So when they're white on the back, they're single-sided and they're exclusive to the workshop kit. So these over here that were double-sided, these you will find in the regular designer series paper pack that has it. They typically have 6 different double-sided designs, so and then 2 of each. So you would have this design, that design, and then there's 3 others in that pack. But these single-sided patterns are usually exclusive to the kit. You can't get those outside of the kit. And then you've got two-toned cardstock. So there's several of those. So you've got one side, and then the back side is a lighter version of the front side. So you've got those. You probably will have, most all of them seem to have some of the white willow 12 by 12. Then you'll get a sheet of stickers. You'll get your, these are called photo placeholders. So if you're putting your pages together and you don't have your photos, which is what we do in my class, and I put them together with the placeholders. if you're putting them together with your photos, then you don't have to use those, but this will tell you what size photo to put in the spot. And then you've got a sheet. This one has the sheet of die cut pieces. So that's all the pieces. Let me kind of put this stack back. Put those back in there. So what I usually do is, my process is to get the base pages for the 3 layouts. Now I tend to look here at the instruction sheet, just at the photos. So as you can see here, this first layout, the pieces are these 2 sheets. Okay, and then the second one, if you look carefully, you can see that one of them is this piece, but the second one is actually this piece. And then your third layout on these are white, which are a little bit hard to see. Now, if you go over here to the instructions, it will tell you use Summer Splash exclusive paper for your base page. And that's the left, and then that's the right. And then here you've got the left, use the Secret C exclusive paper. And then there is an error on the right side. So those are some things I'm going to point out. This is actually the Secret C two-tone paper is your base piece on this one. And I'll show you why in just a minute. And then these 2 use White Willow. So every once in a while there is an error in the instruction sheets. There's actually a page on the Stampin' Up website. If you scroll to the bottom, there is a corrections page, and that correction can be found on that page. So you may want to look there for corrections. I know the Halloween kit had corrections, and maybe there was one other one, and then I think it's this one. So what I do is I lay out those base pieces that I need into 3 piles, 1, 2, 3. Then what I usually do is I go ahead and pull out those photo placeholders, or you can get photos in those same sizes. So project 1, it tells you what sizes you need, project 2, and project 3. So this is project 1, project 2, project 3. All right, and then what I usually do is I go to my die cut sheet, which is this one. And if you look on the back of the die cut sheet, it has on here the project number for which project the die cut pieces belong to. So you can punch those out and go ahead and lay those on your piles. So you've got that. And then once I've done that and I've started my 3 piles, then I start going through and doing the cutting. So that's usually your patterned paper. So you can see you've got those 2 to cut. You've got that single design, and then you've got these 2. You've got one of your dark exclusive papers to cut. That's why I knew that the second one couldn't be a base piece, because I was cutting it. I'm cutting the 2-tone. These are all the 2-tone cardstocks that are getting cut. And as you cut, you want to write the letters, or this is the number is the project, the letter is the piece within the project. So you can, I always label them on the back side. So it tells you what's the front and what the orientation is and what's the back. So for example, this one is 2F. I would write it on the back. So I would write it on this side, which is the back. and on that side, which is the back. And then this white piece is leftovers. Okay, now if you have one of these, like this one right here, you're cutting, you're using both sides of this piece. So for these 3A, 3C, and 3H, you're using the front is what's going to show, and so you're going to write on the back. On this piece, because it has the asterisk, it's the back that's going to show, so you're going to write the 2E on the front. Hopefully that makes sense. And then you've got, here are most of the rest of these look to be all the front, especially the single-sided pages. Those are easy because those just have a front. And then this one will tell you whether the front is the dark side or the light side. Okay. I'm going to put this one away because this is a brand new complete kit. And I'm going to show you mine and the pages and point out some things when you're putting this one together, because I wrote notes in my instructions. Move that out of the way. All right, and you typically will have some leftovers. So like for example, so on this piece right here, on that one, this is my leftover piece. So what I do is I take all my leftover pieces and I slide them back into my plastic bag, which I have sitting somewhere next to me, usually in a chair next to me when I'm working, when I'm doing all my cutting. So these are all the leftovers from the cutting. Now you could save these pieces and you could make up a page. This is just your backer sheet. So that's just a thin piece of cardboard. So you could use those for cards. You could use the leftovers and create your own, grab another 12 by 12 piece and make up a page. On this one, I actually had some stickers left over that I didn't use. These I just didn't put on my page because I didn't know which words I was going to use, and I'm going to show you that as well. So let's go through these pages. Let's see, where did I have notes? So on this one, I wrote a note, double check your print orientation, because on this one, your design is going sideways when you cut. So double check your print orientation. I found it easier to cut my 1/2 inch strips. The thing is if you do that, so the reason they want you to cut the 1/2 inch and then that next to it is so that this design and this design match up to one another. If you look at my page, you can see that mine don't match up, and the reason they don't is because I cut my 1/2 inch strips both from the left edge of the page because that was easier for me, and then I cut the 5.5 inch pieces, but what that meant is my pieces weren't lining up anymore. That, and I might have even flipped them around. So if you want these designs to match up, pay attention to where you're cutting and whether or not you're flipping this piece upside down or not. Okay, hopefully that made sense. On this one, if you want to have this longer piece left, go ahead and cut first at the 10.5 inches, and that will leave you one long piece, and then you can cut it in half at 6 inches. That's just a preference. There's no light or dark on this page, so that wasn't supposed to be there. on that. So you can take your sheet if you want to make notes. And then just make sure, I just wrote myself a note to make sure I was labeling this one correctly, because all of these I'm using the dark, except this one I'm using the light. So just make sure that you're using the light color and labeling on the dark back. That was my note. All right, so now we're going to put the pages together, and what you want to do is, after you've cut all your pieces, if you will put them in order from, starting with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, it has you laying them down in that order. Okay, so that might be helpful to you. Also, this up here is the preparation for these 2 pages. Let me lay these out for you so you can see. So this is the 2-page layout. And if you don't pay attention up here, so the first thing it has you do is to adhere your photo mats, your placeholders to the photo mats. So that's what you do first if you want to do that. And then the next thing you want to do is on 1B and on 1I, you're going to score the bottom at 1 inch and fold up and adhere it to itself. So let me see if I can show this to you. So what it's saying is you're taking this piece right here. I don't know if you can see. So this is one piece that I've scored, and then I've folded it up and glued this piece down. So that's what you're doing for this side and this side. So those are piece 1B and 1I. So it's a longer piece. So let's go over here and find it on our sheet. So it's this one right here, 1B and 1I. So you're going to fold, score it, and fold it up onto itself and glue it down. Okay, I kind of, at first I was putting these down and I was like, well, where is this piece and why is this not fitting? So that's what it is. This is folded up on itself. Okay. And then you've got this piece right here is a sticker. And what you can do is, when you have a sticker that's going over a photo, there's a couple of things you can do. One is you can take a piece of this plastic sticker sheet and cut it and stick it under here to keep the stickiness from getting here until you put your photo down. The other thing is you can just try to remove some of that stickiness by sticking it to your jeans or your shirt or your pants so that it's not so sticky, and then you can still slide a photo up under there. Now I've adhered these just with a very small amount of adhesive because my intent is that I would pull these off once I actually have my photos. The other option is, if you want an extra white border, instead of putting a 4x4 photo here, you could do it like 3 7/8 for a very skinny white border, or 3 3/4 for a bigger white border, and include this as an additional layer if that's something you want. I did put this one, Mother's Day, which is one of the die cuts, up on dimensionals, and I left this loose so I could slide my photo under there. Okay, so then let me put, then on this side, this is where you're going to add your journaling, and then these words from this sticker sheet are going to go here over this photo. So in their example, they've used fun, kind, loving, and stuck them over the photo. I didn't add those words yet because depending on what I end up putting there, maybe I'll put sweet, strong, creative, or fun, beautiful, creative, or capable, or whatever words you want to use. You can choose 3 or 4, or however many words that you want. So you've got a bunch of different words to use on that page. All right, so those are I got dimensional backing. I did put this one up on dimensionals. That's a die cut piece. All right, so there's that first layout. All right, so let's move on to that's called Project 1. So this is Project 2. We're going to have a left page and a right page. Okay, so this is the one where the left page is our single-sided exclusive pattern paper, and the right one is the two-toned Secret C paper. And then what you have is a cut piece of this to go on top of it. So if you're not paying attention, it looks like both of the backgrounds are this pattern paper, but this is just a layer that's been glued. It's only, however wide that is. Okay. Now on these, you're doing tearing. So right here, you're actually tearing this sheet, and you're tearing along the bottom of this one. All right, and then I've got a note here. So while these yellow flowers are stickers, the one on this page, I used a die cut, and I did pop it up on a dimensional. Same with this one, so that I didn't glue that down where my photo's going to come over it. And that, just kind of leave that loose right there. So the second page, so that's where I did the correction. This should say two-toned cardstock. Secret C two-toned cardstock for the base. And then I wrote myself a note. Let's see, it says adhere 2E, then 2D, overlapping 2E slightly. So that would be these 2 pages. I'm not sure why. So I did that where I put this one in the middle first, so 4 inches over. And then when I added this piece, you can see I ended up short and I didn't make it all the way to the edge. So I think it would be better to glue this one on first and line it up with the right side edge, and then glue that one on. That's just because either I mismeasured or I miscut a little bit, but if you want it lined up all the way to the right hand side, glue that one down first, the 2D first, which is this pattern paper, and then the 2E next to it. Okay, so that's my tip on that. This again is up on dimensionals. That's just a personal preference. You don't have to use dimensionals on any of these layouts. Okay, there's that guy. And then here is our third layout. All right, so these we are folding again. So if you look up here, prepare 3A, 3B, 3C, D, H, and G. All of them you're going to score on the right hand side at 1/2 inch and then fold them over and adhere. So that's all of these. You can see these have all been scored and folded over. It's the 4 on this side and the 2 on this side. So that's how you get to see both the front and the back of the Designer Series paper. And then there is a sticker that it says to cut the sticker strip in half. It's this bottom sticker down here. So I just snipped it from the bottom so it was 2 pieces, because you're going to use it on both pages. When you put this page together, I thought the strips went all the way to the bottom, so I started by lining them up at the bottom. They don't, though. They are short, so you need to line them up at the top and glue from the top down. And then you're going to put this green piece down flush with the edge. And when you're adding the photo mats to this piece, if you're doing that, this one is flush to the right hand side, and then there's the spacing in between, so that when you put the 2 pages together, there's the same spacing all the way across this strip. That orange sticker, you're going to glue that down. I mean, it's sticky, so stick that down on top of this green pattern piece before you add this piece with the photos. And then again, I had the die cuts on dimensionals. And then when you do the second page, I would recommend having this one done and then laying this next to it. And when you're ready to add this piece, line it up once you've got your bases. So line this one and this one up with where they are on your left page. And then that other half of a sticker goes down here. I thought it was a little bit long, so I actually cut like an inch or so of it off and put that down there. So those are my tips. I've got, again, my die cuts are up on dimensionals. These are stickers. If you want to take a sticker and put it on a dimensional, you just have to get the stickiness off the back first. And then you've got your leftover, you've got some leftover bits and pieces that you could use with your leftover paper to make a card, or you can add them to these pages. So hopefully those tips are helpful. Let's see if I can show you the layouts one more time. So there's that one. And there's this one. And of course, if you don't want the same titles, or you want to adjust your photos to different sizes, then you'll have to make your own adjustments. And then here is this one. Same on this page. When you're gluing this one down, line these up so you can match. You can see I didn't match very well up here because I think I measured versus matching them up. All right, that is the Memories in Bloom Scrapbooking Workshop Kit. Those are some tips for you on putting this kit together with these 3 2-page layouts. Thanks. Bye.